Hi everyone, my name is Moski. I'm a mid-level Ino player with over 700 hours of experience, and this is a guide to Ino in Season 4. Many of the old video guides are fairly out of date, so I wanted to do an updated one to show everything you need to know to get started. This guide will cover the basics, as well as some more advanced concepts that you need to know to have success. This video assumes that you already know the basics of strive and numpad notation. If you have any questions about any of the terms, consult either the fighting game glossary or Dustloop. Unlike some other characters, Ino has a specific game plan that she's trying to set up in nearly every game. Ino wants to get a knockdown so she can set up her oppressive Okizeme, and then finish that next combo with another knockdown so she can loop her Oki until she can cash out with a high damaging combo and break the wall to get positive bonus. Ino uses positive bonus incredibly well. It solves many of her issues in neutral by letting her bully her way in on offense and makes her already powerful mix even stronger. Because Ino wants to loop her Oki, combo routing is very important. Ino needs to end her combos correctly or risk letting the opponent slip away back to neutral, where she is much weaker. Ino's main sources of hard knockdowns are 2D, an air hit from H-stroke, like the kind we get from JS or 2K, 6H, H-stroke, throw, and super wall break. Ino can also get a soft knockdown from ending a combo with S sultry performance and still get pressure and even safe jumps afterwards. Throughout this video, I'll be referring to certain moves as starters. Ino's grounded combos revolve around 6H, so a starter is any move that can Gatling into 6H. The most common starters are JS, 2K, and JH, but 5P, 2P, 5K, and close slash can all work as well. Unlike other characters, Ino does not dash on the ground. Instead, her dash makes her hover in the air. This has the advantage of giving her access to unreactable overheads on demand, but it does mean that she struggles to dash block. When a character in Strive air blocks something, they are on block stun until landing, plus an additional 19 frames of grounded block stun. This can make approaching very difficult against certain characters. Between her hover dash and her slow walk speed, Ino generally struggles in neutral. Ino's unique movement also includes her air dash and her air back dash. Her air dash allows her to move forward while putting herself closer to the ground. This can be a useful angle to approach from, and also means her air normals can be more plus on block than they would be if she was higher in the air. Her air back dash travels very far and allows her to get away from her opponent. I'm going to cover some of her core normals first and then cover the rest. Ino's main combo starter along with 2K. Since Ino is consistently in the air, her JS functions a lot like other characters' close slash. This is her main pressure starter, and she has a variety of follow-ups afterwards. Simply getting the opponent to block JS puts Ino in a very strong position, and on hit it gives a full combo. All of Ino's air normals will be more plus the lower to the ground they are blocked. Generally, JS will be around plus 6 from close range or when done after a safe jump. Ino's main low option is 2K and her other most commonly used starter. At 6 frames of startup, and with a solid low profile and good range, this is one of her most important moves. On hit, it combos into either 2D or 6H. Its fast startup and good range also make it an effective Abare option. Ino is blessed with one of the best 6Ps in the game. This move has good range, startup, and recovery, even with the Season 4 nerfs to 6Ps. This is her main anti-air option, but it also is effective against many bids and is one of her best options for hitting her opponent out of their pressure. Ino's most commonly used poke. It has decently fast startup at 10 frames, but a long recovery. Despite the animation, this move is a mid, and it only low profiles once it is active. It is a powerful option at round start that will counter hit your opponent for pressing the wrong option. On counter hit, it gives high reward, and it can lead to a meterless wall break from round start. 2H, one of her very best normals. This move creates a large disjointed hitbox on the ground and is very useful to throw out in neutral to wall out certain options or fish for counter hits. On counter hit, it leads to some of her highest damaging combos. "6H is an important frame trap tool, and Ino's main combo tool since it functions as a primary launcher. It can be comboed into from many Venus buttons, mainly JS, JH, and 2K, but also 5p, 2p, 5k, and close slash. It has niche uses in neutral, but it is a large disjointed hitbox that can hit certain characters that like to spend a lot of time in the air. Ino's Sweep. It combos from 2k or 5k and gives a hard knockdown. On hit, it can lead to Note Oki or a safe jump, but more on those later. On counter hit, it leads to a meterless wall break near the corner. Now on to the rest of her normals. 5p is a standard 5-frame 5p, with the major downside of whiffing on crouching opponents. It's a solid anti-air option, and it can combo into close slash or 6h if it anti-airs. 2p is tied with 5p for Ino's fastest Abari option, but its use is held back by its poor range. One of her most niche options, it has some uses in certain matchups at round start, and on hit it has good reward. It's mostly used during corner combos. An important plus on block pressure tool that can be done after JS or JH. Like most characters, close slash is her most optimal starter for combo damage. Close slash also has the benefit of having a wide variety of Gatling options, which encourages the opponent to sit still and puts Ino in a position to do some tricky resets. Far slash is a big disjointed poke with good range, but with slow startup and recovery. On counter hit, it has good reward, but it only combos on regular hit from close range. An important option in certain matchups, but the long recovery makes it easily punishable. 5H is Ino's other launcher. It's almost exclusively used in combos and pressure. It has niche uses in neutral to catch the opponent hitting a button from a specific distance, and its main advantage is it has strong reward on both normal hit and counter hit. "5D is probably Ino's worst normal. It's outclassed as an overhead by her air normals, but it can be done as a Gatling after 2k to close out a round. Unfortunately, Charged Dust only does one more point of damage than Chemical Love when breaking the wall, so it's rarely the best option, but it can be used to punish certain overdrives. One of Ino's best air-to-airs. JP can combo into itself and aid sultry performance on air hit. It has very few uses when close to the ground. JK has one faster frame startup than JS, but with lower block stun and pushback. This makes it a great option against faultless defense and effective for setting up tick throws. It has 7 active frames, so it can be used in some scramble situations. In many ways, JH is a bigger, badder version of JS, with the downside of taking longer to come out. It can be used as a combo starter, just like JS. It does more damage than JS and generally has more block stun as well. Close slash and 6H will usually be gapless done after JH. Its surprising range and stronger block stun make it effective after a long hover. It can also be whiffed to make Ino fast fall, which is key for her safe jump game. An important tool for Ino's mix-ups. JD can be used as a follow-up to JS or JH to give her a second overhead. Slightly delayed JD can also be used to open up people who can fuzzy guard and will also catch delayed backdashes. JD is an important tool for her air combos as it stabilizes a lot of air hits, allowing for bigger conversions. Many of Ino's special moves go by shorter names or nicknames. I'll introduce each move by its in-game name, then I'll start using the more commonly used community names. Antidepressant Scale, aka Note. Note is a key component of Ino's Oki game, an incredibly powerful neutral tool when you can use it. Its long startup and recovery make it difficult to use in neutral, but unlike other fireballs, Ino can control it once it's out by pressing up or down. Note will speed up as it travels and hit more times the further it travels. Each additional hit increases the block stun and the hit stun, making it more effective at locking people down when blocked from farther away. By piloting Note up or down, Ino can wall off certain parts of the screen and force her opponent to approach in a more predictable way, or they're forced to block the Note, which lets her approach easily. As of Season 4, once Ino finishes her recovery frames to Note, she can use it again. Doing so will explode the old Note, hitting one time if the opponent is in range. The other change to Note in Season 4 is that Note is now easier to combo with. This gives her access to better combos against players who do not want to block. Stroke the Big Tree, aka Stroke. Ino's low profile advancing special. Stroke comes in two versions, both of which are important to her game plan. In Season 4, both versions of Stroke maintain their low profile until the move is over, making it no longer trade with 6Ps. S-Stroke has fast startup, but low reward. A normal hit, Ino is about +5. S-Stroke combined with Tap Hover JS makes Ino very difficult to block from close range. S-Stroke is -7 on block and can be thrown before it's active, so be careful about overusing it. Fortunately, the pushback can make punishing it difficult for people who aren't ready, especially if they happen to FD it. On counter hit, it leads to 2D for a knockdown, or it can be red RC'd for a combo that breaks the wall from around mid-screen. H-Stroke is harder to use in neutral than S-Stroke, but it's core to Ino's combo game. It can be used to call out backdashes from round start distance, and can low profile some big normals like Far Slash from characters like Ram, Johnny, or Kai. Its main use is for combos. Starter 6H H-Stroke has decent corner carry, and more importantly, gives a hard knockdown, which allows Ino to follow up with a safe jump. Counter hits from buttons like 2S, 2H, Far Slash, and 6H allow you to combo into H-Stroke for corner carry and big damage. Sultry Performance, aka Dive. Dive comes in 3 flavors, with K, S, and H dive each having unique uses. All 3 can be held to charge the attack, giving them increased damage and making them less minus on block. On hit or block, Ino can also hit the attack button again to hop out of the dive. This can make her safer on block or lead to combo follow-ups on hit. K-Dive. This will probably be your least used option of the 3. K-Dive moves Ino forward at a 45-degree angle. Jump K-Dive can be used to whiff punish certain options if the opponent is close enough. K-Dive is generally safer than S-Dive if blocked, and it grants a soft knockdown on hit. S-Dive will be your most commonly used dive in neutral. S-Dive moves Ino forward at a 60-degree angle and goes much further than K-Dive. It can be easily punished on block, but the range and angle make it very effective at whiff punishing, and it can be used in neutral to close the gap if you think your opponent won't block. On hit, it grants a soft knockdown that gives a safe jump. Charged S-Dive is our highest damage, meterless option to break the wall. H-Dive. Primarily combo tool, with some risky but effective uses in neutral. H-Dive is usually comboed into after JS, JD, or Mad Love Agitato. In order to continue the combo after H-Dive, you must press H again after the 3rd hit to hop out of H-Dive and make yourself actionable. This will allow you to do a follow-up attack and continue the combo. In Season 4, H-Dive charges up faster and is easier to get a follow-up attack with once you hop out of. When using charged H-Dive, press H after the 5th hit to continue the combo. H-Dive can also be used in neutral, but this is very risky since it's very negative on block, even when hopped out of. However, it does allow Ino to move forward very quickly when used in neutral, which can surprise some opponents when combined with her other movement options. If the opponent air blocks H-Dive, Ino is actually plus, which can surprise a lot of people. Chemical Love, aka HCL. The H comes from older titles where Ino had a horizontal and vertical version of this move. In Strive, she only has a horizontal version, but in Season 4, she was given the ability to press forward during the move to move herself forward. This version is referred to as HCL 6, with 6 being the forward input. HCL will now also move you slightly backwards during air backdash as well. HCL is a large projectile that travels nearly full screen and will destroy any projectiles it hits. Its long range and quick startup make it effective at hitting opponents who are trying to zone out Ino. However, HCL has some major downsides. HCL can knock any character who is crouching or running, and it whiffs on Giovanna, Baiken, and Abba even if they are standing. Ino is also in counter hit recovery until the move ends, so if used poorly, an opponent can dash up and hit the recovery with a close slash or big counter hit combo. HCL 6 is a quasi-new move in Season 4. Since Ino moves forward during the move, it opens up her combo game, allowing her to get heavily damaging meterless combos in situations where she otherwise couldn't. It also has the advantage of making her fall faster than normal HCL, and if used on block, HCL 6 is plus, allowing her to do some tricky frame traps. It can also give her some counterplay to deflect shield. HCL does high damage when using combos and is one of her best options to break the wall without meter. Mad Love Agitato, aka MLA. MLA is a unique move with a slow startup. It can be used in neutral to approach the opponent from a different angle than hover JS, and in short recovery of 9 frames, make it very safe on whiff. On hit, it combos into H-dive or HCL 6, and on counter hit, it combos into charged H-dive. If you're having trouble comboing after MLA, wait until Ino is no longer moving backwards and then do the input. MLA really shines when blocked. If the opponent air blocks MLA, she loses her turn, unless she's in the corner. But on ground block, MLA is plus 17 and Ino is plus 6 when she lands. Overdrives. Megalomania, aka Megalo, aka
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Megalo is Ino's signature command grab super and one of the coolest looking supers in the game. It does solid damage and activates immediately after the super flash, so it cannot be reacted to. Megalo is generally used as a finishing move to close out rounds, but it can break the wall from very far away if used mid-round. On whiff, the cinematic does not play, but Ino is entirely invulnerable until the animation is over, making it difficult to punish in some situations and acts as knowledge check against opponents. Like all throws, it does not hit airborne characters or backdashes, so you need to condition the opponent to sit still, before you can inflict maximum emotional damage. Ultimate Fortissimo, aka Fort. Ino's most common use super. It's used for breaking the wall, and it doubles as their only invincible reversal. If the opponent blocks Fort, Ino is incredibly plus, but the grounded version has a large gap in between the reversal knee hit and the projectile, which can be easily punished. The air version of Fort is more plus than the grounded version. It doesn't have the gap since only the projectile comes out. Air Fort can be used on block to remain plus in your opponent's face, so you can go for additional mix-ups. Once Ino gets a knockdown, it's party time. Ino has 2 main types of Oki, Note Oki and Safe Jumps. Deciding which one to go for can be complicated and depends on a lot of factors, but here are some things to consider. Note Oki is going to be much easier and more consistent when done after 2D or throw, but does not work well if done after H-stroke. Note will catch opponents who backdash and wake up without the need of an option select. Note is not very effective if done in the corner, because it will either whiff completely or not have enough blocks done to keep your opponent locked down. There are DP safe Note setups, but Note is more likely to lose to DP than Safe Jumps are. When going for a Note after 2D, Note will have to be delayed depending on how far away you are. The closer they are, the more you have to delay the input. If you input Note too soon and they're too close, the Note will whiff entirely. After throw, Note can be done immediately without any manual adjustment. You'll know you've done the manual delay correctly if Note hits at least 3 times. Safe Jumps are never a bad choice, but since most of Ino's Safe Jumps are manually timed, there's more room for error than Note Oki. Safe Jumps are her preferred option against characters with DPs, and they work even in the corners. The main downside of Safe Jumps is that they are very susceptible to being backdashed and require Ino to use various option selects in order to deal with backdash. Most of the time, Ino will be going for manually timed Safe Jumps. This can be difficult for beginners since you just have to learn the timing, but it is a critical skill for any Ino player to master. The most common Safe Jump is dash, JH whiff, dash JS. This will always work if timed correctly, regardless of the knockdown. If you learn one Safe Jump, it should be this. After a wall break, Ino needs to dash up and use JH to Safe Jump. The timing can be tricky on this one, so make sure to practice it. In the corner, there are 2 fairly easy auto-time Safe Jumps that work off throw and H-stroke. CS OTG, dash cancel JH. This is very simple, but JH will sometimes not come out if you don't mash it, and is prone to being backdashed. JS OTG, jump, air dash, JS. This is my preferred option since it puts you closer to the ground and it's easier to deal with backdashes with this setup. There are many more Safe Jumps than these, but if you want more, check out the Okizeme section of her Dust Loop. Once Ino does either Safe Jump setup or Note Oki, she has 5 main options: JS, 2K, JH, Delay JD, and Throw. Anytime Ino can do a Safe Jump, she can also land and do a micro walk to set up a meaty 2K. It is important to represent both of these options since they both hit on frame 1 and are unreactable if done correctly. The main disadvantage of meaty 2K is that because it is a meaty and not a safe jump, it's not safe to invincible reversals. It also doesn't have follow-ups on block the way JS does. JH works very similar to JS, but it guarantees a gapless 2K follow-up in most situations. It's also more active than JS, so if delayed slightly, it's very effective at hitting backdashes in the corner. The downside is it takes a bit longer to come out than JS. Delayed JD is used to call out people who are backdashing or using delayed options. If JD is used during a safe jump setup, it won't actually safe jump, making her vulnerable to DPs and reversals. Delayed JD messes with people who are trying to fuzzy block because it hits on the same frame that 2K should. JD is generally better against stronger players who are either capable of fuzzy blocking and or understand Ino's mix better and are more willing to mix up their options on wake up. Option selects, aka OSs. In order to deal with backdashes, Ino has a few OSs that she can do. Delay 2K. If Ino does a delay 2K after JS or JH, she can catch backdashes while going for a high-low. 1 JD. If they block the first overhead, Ino will do JD, but if they backdash it, she'll do 2D. This stops Ino from doing 5D if they backdash in between the gap. 2K 6H buffer grab. This OS works only in the corner. On block you get 2K 6H, but if they backdash to 2K, the 6H won't come out and they'll get thrown instead. 4 OS, aka the Everything OS. This will be backdashes, DPs, and YRC. If they block, you're plus 37 in their face. This only loses to backdash PRC and super PRC, so it actually doesn't OS everything. Most of Ino's pressure is based around JS, which is plus 6 on block if done after a safe jump or a short hover. Simply getting the opponent to block this button opens up to many follow-up mix-ups. I will be talking about JS here, but all these options are available after a block JH as well. The frame data may be slightly different because JH is generally more plus. This will cause close slash and 6H to be gapless if done after JH. After block JS, Ino can follow up with either high or low by going for JD or 2K. There's a 3-frame gap in between JS and JD where opponents can use an invincible reversal, and JD will also lose to 6P if they call it out. There's no gap in between JS and 2K since 2K has 6 frames to start up and JS is plus 6. JS 6H has a 1-frame gap that can frame trap. JS CS also has a 1-frame gap, but CS leaves her plus on block and has more Gatling follow-ups. After JS or JK, Ino can walk up and go for a throw. The reward is just okay, and whiffing throw can be risky, but it's a solid option to keep the opponent guessing. You can also admit the overhead and do an empty hover grab, and throw them after the throw protection ends. This is a good way to open up people who are doing a good job of blocking the mix, or fuzzy blocking. Finally, after block JS, Ino can do another JS. This will loosen mash, but is a good way to put extra pressure on more passive opponents. You can do this multiple times until they mash. Encouraging the opponent to mash by using JS spam opens them up to frame traps with 6H and close slash. This is a good option to open up people who are fuzzy guarding but not fuzzy mashing. So if you've done one of these options and they're still blocking, you have a few more options. K-Dive can frame trap after JD, and S-Stroke can be used after a grounded normal. MLA can be used to reset your pressure, but this is reactable and is easily punished if you're too predictable. Alternating between frame trapping with S-Stroke, resetting with MLA, and not special canceling will make your offense much harder to deal with. Finally, you can use Wild Assault to gaplessly reset pressure after 6H or close slash. It also works after other buttons, but there will be a gap. For more information about using Wild Assault to reset pressure in the RPS after blocked MLA, check out Metallic Cake's excellent Season 4 Ino Preparation Essentials video. Ino's pressure is very complicated and layered. This is just a short primer under primary options. It's important to rotate your options to keep your opponent guessing. Ino uses both Wild Assault and Tension very well, which makes her incredibly scary when she has positive bonus. Ino uses Wild Assault better than nearly any character in the game due to it being so easy for her to route into 6H. 6H Wild Assault lets Ino wall break from anywhere on screen from any starter. Here's a few combos to get you started. These combos can work with 5H as well. Make sure to charge Wild Assault when using it after 6H or 5H. The JS route will work anywhere on screen, but later parts of the combo might not be necessary depending on how close you are to the wall or the starter. Ino can also use a poke like 2S or Far Slash and buffer Wild Assault behind it to get a combo where she normally wouldn't. This gives her the ability to whiff punish safely at the cost of 50 burst. These routes break the wall from around mid-screen. Be sure to not charge Wild Assault when doing these ones. Ino has many ways to spend tension. This part of her game has a lot of room for player expression due to the amount of options and the depth of the complexity of those options. It would be impossible to go over every use in this video, so I'll go over some basic concepts to get you started. Unlike other characters, using red RC combos is generally not advisable with Ino unless you will kill or break the wall. Ino does poor damage from her red Roman cancel combos, and she generally has better ways to spend her meter. Red RC can also be used on block to give Ino another turn and let her start her mix all over again. Using S-Dive along with fast red Roman cancel allows Ino to force a way in and get a mix-up on block or combo on hit. PRC can be used along with Note or HCL to cover multiple angles at the same time, or in the case of HCL, be used to quickly put her in the air for a mix-up. BRC can be used for more complicated gapless mix-ups. Close slash dash cancel BRC lets Ino do 2 to 3 gapless normals in a row. As mentioned previously, Air 4 can be used from close range for plus frames, and breaking the wall with 4 is always a good idea, is one of Ino's strongest wing additions, since it grants both a hard knockdown and positive bonus. I'm not going to go too deep into her combos, since most of these can be looked up easily. You can check out her dust loop or join the Ino General Discord server for more. These combos show off many of the core concepts to her combo game. Many of these same ideas will show up in more advanced combos. With that being said, here are a few basic combos to get you started. A quick note about what option to break the wall with. Charged S-Dive is the strongest meterless wall break option, with HCL being close behind. Charge technically does 1 more point of damage than HCL, but doesn't build as much meter and is harder to use. MLA is also a decent option. Ultimately, breaking the wall is the most important thing to do, so don't worry too much about being optimal. HCL is quick, does high damage, and works from very far away. It's never a bad option. A few comments about neutral. Neutral is one of the hardest things to learn in fighting games, and it's even harder with Ino. Not only is her neutral worse than a lot of the cast, neutral with Ino will be radically different depending on the matchup. It's important to consider your strongest options in a matchup and what options might not be useful in a matchup. For instance, HCL is nearly useless in neutral against Baiken, Geo, and Abba, since they all low profile it standing, but it can be incredibly powerful and matchup defining against Asuka, that destroys his cubes and can hit him at the same time, and also against Johnny, since she can whiff punish Misfiner on reaction. Something else to consider is that each of Ino's options will cover a certain area of the screen. Figuring out which areas you want to cover based on your opponent's character and the options they're representing is an important part to learning the character. Ino generally needs to play neutral more proactively than other characters, but knowing when to slow down and when to play patiently is important. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you were able to learn something. If you want to know more about the character, I heavily encourage you to check out the Dust Loop. It's an invaluable resource with many passionate editors who are constantly adding to it and improving it. Go out there and do some good mix. Special thanks to Fishy Fishy and Gimferno for feedback and help with the script, Metallic Cake for their video and tech, Tickle Me Mauer for the clips, and Helio King for some Asuka clips, Pink Rain, Darte, Cyro, and all of the editors at Dust Loop for tech and inspiration, to the GOAT Daru Ino for inspiring me to play his character, and for the bye-bye clips, and finally, the Ino General Discord and the Ino community.